Hey, this is Alex with the Unbiased Trailblazer podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Unbiased Blazers. There's a link in our bio for our Discord server where you can join in on the discussions, give us takes, give us comments, or simply just join in on a podcast. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this podcast. Now, let's get to the show. And as always, Rip City, baby.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Liftoff and the clock has started.
What is up, Rip City? This is episode 26. That is the big 2-6. We're one away from Nurkic's number. I'm here with Fawad. How you doing tonight, Fawad?
I'm good. Been swamped lately with school and everything, so just crazy with that.
I do not miss school at all.
Yeah, I've been catching halves of Blazers games lately, not even the whole game, so might need to rely on you a little bit more than usual today.
That's okay. We all get busy at times. So this is gonna be kind of a strange podcast. There's not a lot to talk about, but the stuff that we do want to talk about, we do want to talk about. So we're gonna start off with the two big issues right now, and that's Lillard's injury and CJ's injury. So first off, we know Dame missed, I think, 5-6 games. I can't remember. I think it's 5 games with this ab issue that he has. But he apparently got some kind of cortisone shot or something like that to help with his pain level, and he ended up coming back for last night's game. I have a feeling this injury that he has, he said he's had it for a while. I have a feeling that this issue is going to be a long-term issue no matter what, and it's almost like
I think so too.
I think he needs to take more time than just the 5 games. I don't know a lot about these core injuries. I've never experienced a core injury, so I couldn't really relate to anything like that, but we can clearly tell there's something wrong with him. He's not playing the way he's used to, that we're used to seeing, and I'm sure that he's used to. And I think that injury does have something to do with it. So, I mean, do you have anything you want to add on his injury?
Yeah. I basically agree with you. I think it's a long-term issue, and I don't know if he'll get better anytime soon, and he definitely needs to take some extended time off. And again, like you, I don't know the extent of the injury or what some of the treatments are or anything like that. So yeah, I can't say too much from knowledge about what he should do, but based on how he's taken 5 games off and it really didn't seem to help at all, and it's been like a recurring injury. Even it got aggravated this past summer in the Olympics, but even in previous seasons we've seen it flare up. So I think just a couple games off, even if he takes 5 more games off, I don't think it's really going to do anything. It seems like a long-term issue, and he might need to take a long time to deal with it.
So, with you saying that, would you be open to the idea of the Blazers just shutting him down until feels really good, or do you still think? I don't see him doing that. I don't see him sitting out that many games. I don't think that's in his DNA to want to just sit because of an injury that he could still potentially play through. But I'm curious what you think about that. Because we've seen Lillard before play through things, and I mean, we're seeing him play through it right now. So if this injury is as serious as it seems to be, it's affecting him, it might honestly be worth him sitting out a longer period of time than just a week or two. We, like I said, I don't really know much about core injuries, so I feel like I'm just kind of randomly talking about it because I don't really have much experience or know much about it. It's clearly affecting him, so it has to be. I just feel like if we keep putting it off and keep delaying it and just letting them play through it, it's going to be an issue next year and the year after and the year after. So it's almost like this. I'm not saying the season's lost by any means because we're still in the thick of it, but it's almost just like at this point, rest him as much as we can. If the team starts playing better and he's feeling, better, then maybe it is worth bringing him back. But at the current pace, I don't like the idea of playing him as much as we've played him, and we're still ending up with bad results anyways. So to me, I almost think, yeah, maybe we should shut him down at least for an extended period of time. Maybe not the whole season, but and not only that, if we end up, I'm not a big fan of tanking, but if we end up, losing the way we have been losing, that pick that we have that's lottery protected will come back to us, and maybe that'll help. Who knows what it could help, but maybe there's some way to help it. I don't know. It looks like Fawad had to step away for a second, so I'm just gonna kind of keep rambling for a second. The other injury that we had was CJ McCollum. He ended up having a collapsed lung, and I know that sounds terrible, and I mean honestly, it is terrible, but I know it sounds way worse than it is. Um, I looked up a lot on it because I honestly didn't know much about it. From what I saw online and from what other people have said, a collapsed lung isn't as bad as like a punctured lung, and the expected time frame for an injury like that is like 3 weeks. So it sounds terrible, and when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be done for a while." But really, it's not as bad as it sounds. Apparently, they just poke like a needle of some kind in your side and kind of let the air in or air. I'm not sure. It sounds crazy to think you have a collapsed lung and it's only going to take you 2 weeks to get better. But from everything I've read and from other people that have commented saying they've had that happen to them before, it's not as bad as it sounds. Now, a punctured lung, that's a big difference. Big difference. And it's a lot longer recovery time. So with it just being a collapsed lung, I'm expecting to see him back maybe next week, maybe another 2 weeks just to be safe. But I don't think it'll be too long that we'll see him. But either way, it sucks when you can't breathe. Um, and it's kind of bad timing because we're right in the thick of getting ready for the trades to happen. So the other thing I wanted to talk about as far as Dame goes, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit while I was talking. I don't know if he'll want to shut it down himself, even if it means that we're still losing and he's going to play through his injury. Looks like we might have Fawad back. Are you back, Fawad?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It's just been a crazy busy day today. Yeah, I don't know what you were talking about before, but uh, I think
Do
it was about
you
Dame
think?
said.
Yeah. Do you think we should just shut Dame down for a longer period of
Oh yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah. And honestly, like I said, I've been so busy, but I really wanted to make sure I did a podcast today because I really want to talk about this. And I feel like you said, like Dame would. I don't think he would be down for it at all. I do think that he probably should, and I've been going back and forth like pretty much the last 24 hours. Um, I think there's a lot of benefits to him resting, even if it's not for the whole season, but maybe like 2 months or something like that. I think, yeah, like just essentially call this year a wash, and he rests up, even whether he misses the whole season or most of it. That's not the important part, just until he's healthy. And then I think if we're able to develop Simons, Nasir Little, uh, and then we can maybe boost CJ's trade value a little bit more too if he gets healthy in time. Um, I think there's, and then we have our own pick, or like it's lottery protected, so we would get a nice either a player or an asset that we trade for a better player. I think there's a lot of upside to resting Dame for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and I was saying I think the biggest issue is Dame himself saying, "Yeah, I'm fine with resting." because we've never seen him do that before, and clearly
Yeah.
he's playing through this right now. So, like you said, in the long term, I think it's better, and I think it is the right choice. In the short term, it's going to suck to see it, but it really does just come down to if Dame wants to, if whatever Dame wants to do, I think is what we should do. If he wants to roll out and play every night, or miss a couple games, it's his call, and
If
I'm going to trust his call over my call. So,
missing a couple games is interest like what if he kind of load managed, but not just back to backs? Maybe he took like every 1 in 3, 1 in 4 games off. Because maybe it's not like something that can be healed. Like again, we don't know the specifics of the injury, but I'm wondering what if something that like flares up due to him overworking himself. So if he like schedules in rest games every couple of games, maybe that'll help manage it a little bit better. But I think one way or another, he needs to not play as much.
yeah, I mean, this could very well be because of how much he's been used and how
Mhm.
how much he was relied on for the past 9 years. I mean, a lot of teams rest their players, and I don't remember ever a time where Lillard was healthy and they rested him. I mean, I don't know if you
Probably
do,
never.
but I
Maybe
don't
like the
remember
last
it.
game of the season before
Yeah,
before the playoffs.
something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, like how Kawhi does it, or how LeBron does it, or
yeah,
even sometimes
never.
Giannis has done it. It's like we don't ever see that with him. So, and maybe you're right. Maybe taking off one every 5 games, or something like that, it will help. I mean, I'm no expert on abdominal issues, so I couldn't tell you whether or not that does help or not. And then I also, while you were gone, I talked a little bit about CJ's injury. I just kind of said it's not as serious as it sounds, even though it sounds crazy. It's not a very long injury, according to the internet and other people's experiences. Do you have anything you want to add on the CJ injury?
Not too much. Do you remember how long the timeline is?
It was like, so the internet and the people themselves that experienced it said it's usually about 2 weeks. So we're
Oh,
about
that's
a
not bad.
week in. So I would say maybe one more week, maybe two at the most. I would expect to see him back.
Okay, that's pretty good. And like I wanted to see a little bit more of um I think we're gonna talk about this later, but I want to see more of the Dame, like healthy Dame lineup with Norm at the 2, so like
Yeah.
basically without CJ. But if we can't see that, I think trying CJ at the 1 could be something interesting too while Dame is out, if Dame sits out. I think just trying different things could be interesting. But
Well, let's
yeah,
talk
go
about
ahead.
it now. We had a new starting lineup for this last game against Minnesota. It was Dame at the point guard, Norm at the 2. We had Nasir Little at the 3. Nance came in at the 4, and Nurk was the 5. So it was a lineup that a lot of us wanted to see. I think me and you both wanted to see that.
Yeah, we talked about it in at least one podcast in the summer.
Yeah, and truly, those are probably the 5. Well, I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Besides Dame, those are the 4 most consistent. Simons has probably been a little more consistent than Dame has, but obviously there's no way in hell we would ever bench Dame for Simons. But those 4 guys there are the 4 that a lot of people have been saying they need to be the starting lineup. So how did you feel that game went with that starting lineup?
It didn't go great. um, and Nance and Nurk got into a lot of foul trouble, so Covington
Quick.
ended up, yeah, really quick.
Yeah.
And then Covington, especially with Nance, so Covington ended up playing, I think, probably more than his average. I'm not 100% sure, but it was at least close to there.
Pretty close.
Um, so we didn't really get to see the lineup as much as I wanted, and when we did see it, they were just fouling nonstop. Um, so maybe next game, if Dame plays, we'll see it a little bit more. But yeah, I just think like lineup wise, I think he has so much potential. Norm is playing his natural position. He's better at guarding twos. He's better at attacking twos. I think his play normally will be a lot better. And then other than Dame, we have 4 at, at absolute worst. They're all average defenders, but I would argue they're all above average. Especially when you put Norm at the 2 instead of the 3. Then you have Nas at the 3. Everyone knows he's been playing great. He's earned his minutes. I think he got injured last game too, right? I don't remember.
He hurt himself a little bit, but he kept playing.
Okay, and do we know status for tomorrow?
As far as I know, he's still supposed to
Okay,
play. So
okay, that's good then. Yeah, he had like 18 in the first half. I think I only watched the first half, and I loved what I saw from him. So like, if he starts, I'm very happy. He is more of a natural three, anyways, than Norm. And then obviously Nance, Nance has been kind of weird. I think we haven't utilized him the best. Except for like that little stretch where he had like 15 in a couple games in a row. And again, he is more of a small ball five, like Chauncey said a while ago. So playing him at the four probably isn't amazing, but I think the passing between him and Nurk and the defense, I think overall, I think that definitely has potential to be our best lineup.
yeah, and honestly, we've kind of talked about Covington not playing as well as we're kind of used to seeing. He actually played pretty damn good. I don't know if it was him being benched that changed, but he gave
Yeah,
good effort and he actually played pretty well.
I think it lit a fire under him, and he wanted to earn his starting spot back.
I also noticed the braids were gone. He was sporting a new hairdo out there.
Yeah, I think they've been gone for like 2 games or something. I didn't
Oh,
even
have they?
recognize him at first.
Oh, I didn't notice him in the last game. Then I just noticed it today. Yeah, like you said, Nance and Nurk both foul trouble pretty much right away. So, and we didn't have Cody Zeller, which we haven't talked about. Cody
Oh
Zeller,
yeah,
something about his kneecap. I didn't really hear quite what it was, but something,
I mean,
some kind of
i-
chip in his kneecap or something like that.
if it's the Blazers center, just assume their knees are gonna get destroyed at one point or another.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we didn't have Cody Zeller to come in to cover for Nance and Nurk, which actually I wasn't even planning on talking about, but since we're here, that made us actually bring in Watford,
Oh yeah,
right? His name's
yeah,
Watford, right?
yeah. Trent Watford,
Yeah, there
shout
we
out.
go. He played. I'm not kidding you. I mean, I know probably his adrenaline was pumping and everything, but he
Hmm.
played actually really well for the short a period of time he was in there, and it was like meaningful minutes. It wasn't towards the end of the game. It was like second, third quarter. I think I can't remember which one it was.
Well, actually, I did see him play, so I didn't watch just the first half.
Yeah,
um,
he played some good minutes and he made some good plays for us. A lot of one-handed rebounds. I've never seen that many one-handed rebounds before.
yeah, he only played like 5, 6 minutes total, I feel like, but in like his first 3 or 4 minutes, he had I think like a block, a steal, maybe two steals, um,
I'm
a,
gonna pull
a
up the
couple
stats
a
real quick.
couple nice rebounds. Like his first 5 minutes, he was filling up the stat sheet, and he had a couple deflections which don't even show up on the stat sheet. So I was very, very pleasantly surprised by what I saw from him. I didn't even expect him to play at all, and I think that was his first um like real NBA
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
and
real minutes. Yep.
for him to like play that well, it was pretty encouraging.
It was funny when he first checked in, the ball goes right to him. I don't know if he got a rebound or what, and he was taking the ball up the court because they were like pressing up on Lillard and whoever else was in. And so he ends up going all the way down to the other end of the court with the ball, and you can tell he's kind of panicking, and he passes the ball and it turns it over. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then they turned it over and it came right back to us. And then from then on, it was just he was high energy, making plays. So he ended up with 3 rebounds. One of them was an offensive rebound. He had one
Yeah, he had
assist,
a putback.
one steal, and one block, and only played 7 minutes. So super high energy. He made the right plays. He got a couple stripped balls that stopped them from scoring, which was nice. And like I said, he was going in with these crazy long arms with one arm grabbing rebounds. I've never seen that before, but
Yeah,
it was fun watching.
for a two-way to provide valuable minutes in a game is pretty rare, and hopefully he keeps developing, and maybe he'll be a rotation player next year, or at least get himself a proper NBA contract.
And one other person I wanted to talk about and just kind of give a shout out real quick, Ben McLemore.
And Macklemore, 100%.
Yeah, he's been coming off the bench for us, and he played 15 minutes. He hit 5 of 6 from three. He's been really. I've enjoyed watching him come off the bench and play for us, and I hope that as the season goes on, they continue to play him. And they, once we get back to full health, if no trades are to happen or anything, we don't put him back down at the bottom of the bench because I like what he brings us, and he's a good shooter. And like you said earlier, I don't know if it was in the podcast or just in the chat on Discord. He's pretty much what we thought Snell was going to be. So I've
Yeah,
enjoyed watching him. I don't know about you.
yeah, 100%. He's been um, much better than I expected. He's been a spark plug. He's hitting his shots. When we signed him in the summer, I didn't really like the signing. I thought he would just be another undersized guard. We don't really have a need for him. And I thought, like you said, I thought Tony Snell was actually going to be the spark plug who comes off the bench, provides like consistent shooting, and then that's pretty much it. And I didn't think McLemore would even play that much, but he has played lately, and he's played consistently well. And especially last game where he wasn't even just shooting, but he had a couple of energy plays too. I think he had like something on maybe like a blocker, a big stop on the defensive end or something. I remember getting hyped at one point.
And then I think he
um,
turned it into a 3 right after that.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah. So he's been a huge surprise, and like you said, I want him to keep getting minutes, even when everyone else is healthy. I don't know where those minutes are going to come from, but I think we have to find a way to get him minutes.
Yeah, I
Shooting
agree.
42.9% from three on the season, which is his highest in his career. So it's possible that that goes down a little bit, but he has shot in 40 and 41 before, so it's not like much higher than anything he's done before.
Yeah, I mean, he's
And
definitely
it's on a
known
good
as a
volume too.
shooter. He's
Hmm.
definitely known as a shooter, so
Yeah.
he's getting open looks and he's making them, and that's from the get go, from probably episode 1 of our podcast. That's all I've ever said. Like, if you get an open shot,
Shoot.
as an NBA player, I want you to shoot it, and if you're a shooter, I expect it to go in. I mean, obviously, I know not every single time an open shot goes in, but we should see more go in than miss on wide open shots, which he's been knocking them down. So that's fun to watch. Uh, one more thing I want to talk about before we get into the last part. Something I know you're excited for, and honestly, I'm excited for, and a lot of people are. There was a rumor slash article that came out. So take what you want, because we've seen how these rumors and articles with Lillard have been, that the Jeremy Grant trade scenarios the Blazers have been interested in. I know you're big on Grant, and I am as well. He is suffering from some kind of ligament damage in his thumb, which isn't super serious, but as of right now, he's not playing. Because you're so big on Grant, tell me why you think that a trade for him would be good.
Um, I think honestly he's probably been like just a tad bit worse than I expected him to be this season, but I still think he'd be great for us. He just fits us so well in like every way. I remember even when he was on the Nuggets and as a role player, I really wanted him badly, and I expected him to get better in Detroit, and but not like I didn't expect him to take the jump that he did. He has an ability to create his own shot. He's not like, a Dame or anything, but it's probably better than anyone on our team other than like Dame, CJ, and Norm. So if we lost CJ, it's not like we're trading him for a 3-and-D player. He can create his own shot, and then he's a great defender. Um, and everyone knows we need that badly. Um,
Very much so.
And he's big. He can guard those big wings on other teams. Like Kawhi's injured, but the Kawhi, the PG of the NBA, he can guard those guys. He's big. He's tall. He's a great defender. He can shoot. Like if you had to describe someone that would fit our team, that you'd get him. And then
Exactly.
the thing that it's honestly with like any trade, so not just Grant specifically, but trading CJ, it moves Norm down to the 2, and
Mhm.
every single Blazers fan wants to see more Norm at the
Yes.
2. So that just opens it up for Norm a little bit more too. And he's not
One.
as ISO, even though I think he probably has been in Detroit, but as out of need, I think with us, he wouldn't be as ISO, and he would still let Dame do his thing, without like without ball hugging, I guess. But
Mhm.
when we need him to score, he's able to score, and that's exactly what you want.
You're 100% spot on. And honestly, I know everyone's, saying like if we traded for Ben Simmons, we're getting an upgrade on defense, but a downgrade on offense. Honestly, he might not be as well of a defensive player as Ben Simmons is, but his offense, he's averaging 20 points this year, and last year he averaged 22. So we're not really losing anything offensively, and we're getting better defensively. So some would say that's almost an even better trade than Ben Simmons. And like you said, he's a good shooter. He's 6'8". He can guard multiple positions. And like you said, when he played for Denver, I was also like, I would have like, oh man, it'd be great to have him on our team. He would help so much. And now it's like we can get him, and it's like you said, moving Norm to the 2 in that process. I'm all for it. So not only that, I did not know this. He is a Portland, Oregon boy. It says his hometown, his birthplace is Portland, Oregon. So, I mean, what better than to bring back someone from Portland and let him, get the fans reignited, re-excited for this team. I'm all for it. I think bringing him in, I have no issue with it.
The one issue with Jeremy Grant is it's really hard to match contracts when you have to factor in when you have to factor in the luxury tax, because we need to make a trade where we lose money instead of gain. So either we have to do Covington and Nurk, which I think some fans are probably okay with, but I don't want to trade Nurk yet. That's probably a topic for another day. But
Yeah, I think if we're gonna trade Nurk, we're gonna have to get some kind of center for it, because we're not gonna have any centers at that point.
yeah. So I wouldn't throw Nurk in there. So the only and CJ makes a lot more than him, so it also makes it a little bit difficult to match. There is like one way to do it with Corey Joseph and I want to say Josh Jackson, but then like the issue also comes down to like, does Detroit want CJ, and how many picks are we gonna have to give up, and are we willing to give a pick? And then we also have to trade Covington, so then we have to see what we get in return for there. So it's it's not as simple as I would like it to be, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest on cap and how money works. I always have to like triple, quadruple check if everything's going to work out and use trade machines just to make sure. So I know you're more into that than I am. So if you're saying that it's going to be kind of difficult, I believe you 100%, because I'm not as in depth as you are on that.
It's that also reminds me, since it is that difficult, for fans that want to see CJ get traded, it's good news, because um other than a Covington and Nurk, there's very, very limited options in how we can get under the tax with trading just Covington, or just Covington and one of our minimum guys. There are a couple options, and one of them that I really like is I meant to say all this for another day, but I'm just thinking to it now. But
Let's go for it.
Kyle Anderson on Memphis, I think he's a good fit with us, and trading Covington straight up with him gets us under the tax too, so it's a double win. But then like we also have to consider whether Memphis is gonna want to do that, and if they're gonna want like maybe a second round pick or something. So I don't know about that. I think fit wise, I like Kyle Anderson. He's a good
I do too.
defender.
Good defender.
Can shoot. He's an okay shooter, not great, but enough.
He's burned us a couple times. And like you said, he's a good defender. So, yeah. So the rumor is that we have been in discussion with it. There's not really any we're not like close to a deal or anything like that. But the rumor is that we were at least calling Detroit and inquiring about trades. Yeah. So, which leads me to the next and last thing we wanted to talk about. There was a press conference with Joe Cronin, Chauncey, and I cannot remember the name of the new. Oh,
Business guy.
Now it's gonna drive me crazy.
Can't remember either.
1 second, I will tell you, because I'm in the article right now.
I want to say it starts with like a B or something.
Hankins, I think,
Oh,
right?
maybe that
right?
sounds familiar. Yeah.
So
Like
Dwayne
Dwayne
Hankins. Yep, there we go. Dwayne Hankins. Okay, so they all three sat down and had a press conference, and there was just a couple things that I wanted to address from it. first off, this is our first real time, I think, seeing Joe Cronin and actually getting to hear from him. Um, and a
Yeah,
lot of
he did not
people,
look like what I expected him to.
no, not at all, not
He
at
looks
all.
huge. Like he
And
could step on the court right now and play center for us.
he looked very like if you, it's almost like polar opposites. If you think of Neil O'Shea, you never saw him not in like a suit and tie.
Yeah,
He was very laid back. He had a
yeah,
button up shirt, but it was unbuttoned at the neck. He wasn't wearing a jacket. Just looked very relaxed, and I
very
honestly
casual.
very casual, and I kind of liked it. So, um, anyways, a lot of us had questions about like how much power essentially he's going to have, like if he is as of right now our GM or if he still has things to go. And this is what he said. He said, "My understanding is yes, I am supposed to go out and do my job, find deals, participate as if I am the GM." So that's the message that he received from ownership. So the way I take it, and I would think the way it's meant is, as of right now, he is the GM. He can do just as much as what Neil O'Shea could do. He might have to go and get an okay, or maybe he wants to go get an okay from everybody else, where maybe O'Shea didn't really care as much. But at least from what he's saying there is he can, if he has a trade he likes, he has the authority to go make that trade happen, or whatever.
Yeah, he said his job is basically to bring it to the 1 yard line and then get it approved.
Yeah.
Which is good to hear, but I also, not to sound too pessimistic, but I also wonder how much of that was just him saying it, and I feel like making a big decision, like ownership leaving it up to an interim is probably not ideal, like in their point of view, but also I don't see Joe Cronin, based on what we've heard, as the type of guy to just speak PR like Neil
hmm
O'Shea does. So maybe he is just being honest, or at least that's what he's being told.
Yeah, and one thing he said is about like trades and everything is he said, "I want to be patient and I don't want to be reactive, but I do feel urgent to at least find out what's out there and what's available." So that at least lets me know he knows that trades probably do need to be made and that this isn't, and I have a feeling that everybody knows that. I think
Yeah,
it's
I was just about to say it. I think even if you don't watch Blazers, you know that at this point.
Yeah, and I think the roster knows it. I think the players know it. I think, the coaches, the ownership, they all know something has to happen. So he also added on and said, "I do want to be aggressive, but at the same time, I want to pull back and have a really smart and collaborative look at things. But we're not afraid to do something if we need to." And really, it's it's kind of
Sounds
like,
like
it sounds like, yeah, we want to be aggressive, but we don't want to really do it unless we have to. And it's like you're kind of contradicting what you're saying at the same time. They know a trade has to be done. So maybe he's just saying he's not going to go out and pull the trigger on the first trade offer he gets. Um, which we've always said from the get-go is it's not about trading CJ, it's about getting the right value for CJ. Because we can't just give up CJ just to give him up because we're tired of having him. Um, some days it feels like we could, but
some days definitely does.
honestly, if we're wanting to be a serious contending team, we can't just go out and trade it to the first team that wants to. So that's good to hear. Um,
To
I
me,
do see a trade happening. So
I hope so. To me, it sounded like vibe I got, but I might just be projecting because that's what I think, is that he he was trying to say that he like, obviously without naming names, but he was trying to say that he understands that CJ needs to be traded, but it's also, not that easy. No one's just offering up a silver platter for him. So it sounded like he knows CJ needs to be traded, but it's gonna be hard to find a trade that works for us. So, just be prepared either way.
well, and not to bring back up old news, but we've heard that Philadelphia has no interest in trading just CJ for Ben Simmons, and they don't want CJ for any kind of Ben Simmons deal. I almost wonder if hearing these reports of us talking to Detroit and, maybe that is like kind of a flag to them, like, oh, okay, maybe we're not the only option they have. Maybe they could go somewhere else and CJ would help us. And I mean, the whole Ben Simmons thing is still crazy to me that oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. What's the GM there? Rockets guy.
Daryl Morey?
yeah, Daryl Morey is wanting so much for someone that has not played and is
Hmm.
like, it's crazy to me. It's insane that he is still sticking to this, which honestly, if you remember back when he was the GM for Houston and the trade he got for Harden, he blew that trade big time.
Was he the one who made that trade?
I'm pretty certain he was. If
I
not,
feel like
maybe I'm wrong. I thought he
I
was.
feel like he was the one bidding for Harden, like from
Oh,
Philadelphia.
actually, you might be right. You might be
Because
right.
I
Because he
remember
went to
people saying,
Philadelphia and he was wanting him. You're right.
I
Scratch
remember
that
people
from the record.
because I remember people saying that the Houston owner, I don't remember his name right now, but people are saying that they don't like. I think Simmons was on the table, but they didn't want to take the Philly offer because he didn't want Morey to be reunited with Harden.
Yeah, they got shysted on that trade deal because they got some terrible pieces. Okay,
And
yeah, forget what I said. That was a bad comparison. Never mind. Take it back. I don't know what I was thinking. I just swore he was the
all
GM then.
good. But you
But
are right though. I didn't think about that. That I think it could put some pressure on Philly to know that we have other options. So I wonder if that plays a part at all.
well, and not only Jeremy Grant, there's also the rumors of the Pacers being open to trading their players. So
Hmm.
not only do we have the avenue of going for Jeremy Grant, we could somehow pull off a trade for Sabonis, which would be crazy for Miles Turner, which I would love to see Miles Turner for us. If there was a way we could get Miles Turner and Jeremy Grant or, someone else, woo, that would be sweet. But, that's a 2K dream there. I don't think that's going to ever happen.
Either of those guys would be good, but then you think about the Nurk factor, and then you probably have to trade him too.
Yeah, I no matter what, if we're getting a second player over like Ben Simmons or Jeremy Grant, if there's another trade, Nurkic is going to be in that trade no matter what. There's pretty much, unless it's for a lower name player, there's no way we don't include him in a trade to someone else. He's still a good player to have, and a lot of teams would want him. So, and
For sure.
I would love to do a podcast on all these rumors lately because there's lots of little you know, trade scenarios that we could go through, but it would be a podcast that would just go for hours because we'd be like, well, what about this? But essentially, there are options out there. Joe Cronin said that he has the authority to do them. I hope we see it. December 15th is coming very soon.
Yeah, two
So,
days.
so we might be seeing some stuff sooner than later.
I honestly don't think we're gonna get anything huge on the 15th. Maybe just
Yeah,
like
I don't think
one
so
minor
either.
trade. But it kicks off trade season, so hopefully soon after.
And then one last thing we wanted to talk about. I'm not sure if you read this or not, but Jason Quick put out a article about CJ, and when I first started reading it, I was like, "Oh, we traded him." And that's in the article. That's what Jason Quick even brings up. Um, he Jason Quick said he received a text message from. Let me find it real quick so I can read exactly what it was. So Jason Quick was driving home from a game, I think is where it was, and he received a message from CJ, and the message said, "Oregon is home, always will be. I got married here. My son will be born here. We bought 318 acres for a vineyard here. The city and organization have always been good to me and my family. We're forever grateful." And when I read that, I was like, "Oh, he's getting traded right now." And that's exactly what Jason Quick thought too. He thought it was like a goodbye message to
Mm.
him. And CJ said, "No, it's not. It's not a goodbye." So I think, like we said a little bit earlier, the players know that change is probably going to come. CJ knows he's been in these trade rumors for the last what 3, 4 years now.
Yeah.
Every year we're hearing, something about trading CJ, and I think he sees the writing on the wall.
I'm happy we saw this article. 'Cause I didn't actually get to read it myself. I just saw that like snippet earlier as well.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, CJ's such a like amazing guy off the court. He's humble. He's just nice. He's given a lot to the city, even though I'm not from the city. Um, and like I think any fan base than ours would probably appreciate him a lot more. Um, yeah, I feel very lucky to have him on our team, even though it is probably time that time to move on. But yeah, like you said, he's been in these trade rumors for like 3 years. He hasn't really let it affect him. He's a professional. He knows it's a business, and he still gives his all to the team, even if we may have been shopping him before. Although I don't know if we were.
Essentially, what I took from this article is majority of the time, us fans don't think of these players as people.
People. Hmm.
They are 100% just like you and me. And so imagine your job for the last 4 years, like just hearing rumors that you're getting shipped off somewhere else because you're not good enough and not a good enough fit. And it's not his fault. He is a good player. And like you said, I appreciate everything he's ever done for us. And I know we've been harsh on him in the past, and I know we've praised him also. But it is a business. He is a person. And seeing it is kind of upsetting it almost makes me feel like he doesn't feel like he's appreciated anymore.
Yeah, it does sound that way.
And I, even though we all are kind of on the same boat of him needing to be traded, it's not that we don't appreciate him or don't think he's good enough. It's just the fit isn't working, and he's good enough of a player to bring value to us, and he's good enough of a player to bring value to somebody else. And it sucks for him, and I couldn't even imagine like having to deal with this every year, wondering if this is the year I'm going to be traded. Is this the week I'm going to be traded? Especially when he's doing all of this, he's having a kid, he's doing a vineyard. It's just crazy to think about. And truly, I know I'm just as bad as anybody else probably. We don't think of them as people. We think of them as basketball players that are from another planet or something. And really, they're people just like us.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fans are like that for sure. Especially on social media, they get ruthless sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this is me admitting that I appreciate CJ, and I even if we never make a trade and he doesn't leave and he stays here, I truly do not have an issue with it. I just don't think it's what the team needs to make it to the next step. If he ends up staying, I will gladly support him and hope that he plays good for us and hope for a miracle that we can, make it to the championship. Um, I know he's a person and it sucks that he's in this situation. And kind of honestly, Miles Turner, I don't have the exact quote, but he kind of made it known too that the Pacers are treating him like he's a role player and he's not valued.
Yeah,
So it's like it's not
he
only
wasn't
us.
happy.
All these teams, it's a business obviously, but they're humans. They got feelings, and I
You know,
know, we think about it, but it's true.
even Zion, it's not about trades with him, but like people have been, kind of ripping him apart over his, like his weight issues and his injury
Hmm.
issues lately. And so I think someone from the team, I think it's someone Cash, who I didn't even know worked there, um, that she was like, these people are adults and they have nothing better to do than just to go online and send hate to this little like
Exactly.
20-year-old kid. I think he's my
Exactly.
age or younger, which is crazy, and he's definitely younger than you.
Oh, what am I old? Is that what you're trying to say? No,
Maybe.
I totally get it. I think it is crazy, and there have been times that I've said things that I'm like, oh, this guy's garbage, and it's like the, the
Yeah.
dude's 10 million times better than me. I have
Yeah.
no business saying anything like that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too, and sometimes we don't like mean it like to be sent to them, but they see it anyways, and it
Yeah.
still has the same effect.
And by no means do I even think it's possible that any Blazer player has listened to our podcast. But just even like thinking about times when we've like critiqued CJ and like in the playoffs when he stepped out of bounds and how pissed off we were. It's like he's still a human, and yeah, we get mad and we're upset. He doesn't deserve all the hate that it wasn't coming from us. We weren't hating on him, but there are people that were like, this bum is just going off, and it's like that kind of stuff that's not needed.
Yeah, we never go that far. We're unbiased.
Yeah. So, CJ, we appreciate you. If by some miracle you listen to this or hear a clip of this, we appreciate you, whether you're here or not.
Maybe our New Year's resolution should be to get CJ to listen to our podcast.
There we go. There we go. So, do you have anything else before we wrap it up?
I'm good. I got a lot out.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys for listening. I just want to actually, before we head out, I want to give a shout out. These last couple episodes, we've had a surge in people listening. I'm not sure who you are, but we appreciate every single one of you. It's definitely not expected. Every time I check to see, and that number keeps rising, I'm like, this is crazy. We're about to blow up, and it's not even that many, but it's just exciting to see. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. I mean, me, Fawad, Mike, we all appreciate everybody that listens or talks on Twitter or Discord. We appreciate it. So I just want to say thank you guys. I hope you guys have a good night, and as always, Rip City, baby.